Alright, I'm back with another Destiny 2 video, and today I wanted to talk about something I've noticed over at least the past 2 seasons now, and one of the primary things I think that's driving the reason that these seasons lately seem to be getting better. Obviously, there are controversies about stasis and transmog and PvP and all this other stuff, but I think everyone can agree that one thing that is getting significantly better as time goes on is Destiny 2 storytelling. And I believe that this is due to Bungie more dedicatedly allocating resources to one thing in particular, and that is maybe the narrative team in general, but I think it is especially voice work. For 2 seasons now, we have seen a tremendous amount of voice work and different characters crop up in both of the storylines for the season. Last season, we had the arrival of Keitel, so that was a new voiced villain, but who wasn't really a villain in the end. There was Osiris, there was Crow, there was Amanda Holliday, there was Saladin. There were a lot of characters that were all coming together to have. There was Zavala, everyone was coming together in cutscenes and in battlegrounds, commentary, and things like that to kind of flesh out the story more at every turn. And then we enter into this new season, and we have Mithrax and Ido and Lakshmi actually returning for the first time in a long time, and Ikora, and even Crow and Zavala got some lines in there, and Saint and Osiris, and even more characters than last year somehow. And I think this is all really serves to, there's weekly messages we get from them, there is different dialogue for all the different overrides, and you read these kind of little mini stories told in these interactions between characters. You have a character like Saint interacting with Mithrax, where the two have been, fierce rivals, because of the history between the Fallen and the Guardians. And it's fascinating to watch this unfold. And so I think this is in part a budgetary increase because, think back to past seasons where everyone really likes, past seasons like Black Armory or Season of Opulence, but those seasons arrived and they had maybe two voice actors. Black Armory was all 801 and that's it. Oh, and 801's back this season too. I forgot about her. She has voice lines. Or Season of Opulence was all Callus talking pretty much. And, there's some interesting lore that can be attached to those seasons, but it is so minimal based compared to what we're seeing now. And a lot of that is due to what is clearly an increased voice work budget. Because one thing you have to keep in mind is every time that there's new voice work in a game like Destiny, it's not just okay, we got to get these 5 or 6 actors together. They have to do that, and then they need voice actors for a zillion different languages. There are a ton of different languages that they have to record voice work for. So it's not just, 5 actors, it's 25 or 40 or however many it is total that they have to do across all these different, regional areas. And another thing I think that's helped with this is they have replaced some of their maybe more known voice actors with, this is not an insult, but lesser known voice actors in order to have people that have maybe broader availability and are able to shoot more often. For instance, they recast Gina Torres, and that may be because Gina Torres, and she hasn't been in the game for so long because she just has had so many, she's got TV shows and these other projects and stuff, and just maybe does not have the ability to come and record. And they did this with the Mysterious Stranger. Lauren Cohen from The Walking Dead is busy, and they recast her. They did it with Anna Bray, who is now played by Erika Ishii, which is awesome, who's Valkyrie in Apex Legends and a bunch of other things. She's pretty much in every game I play, which is kind of hilarious. But she's a great voice actress, and she may be more accessible than Jamie Chung, who originally recorded Anna Bray back in, who knows. And Destiny's been doing this to a certain extent for a while. The first case of this is obviously Peter Dinklage, where Peter Dinklage was not going to keep recording voice lines for Ghost for 7 years, so they got Nolan North, who is probably the most prominent video game voice actor in the industry, to do him, and then he's done a couple other voices, including replacing Nathan Fillion as Cade when he needed to fill in for Forsaken. So I think that allows them more flexibility in being able to kind of get actors that are more accessible more often. You have characters like Saint and Drifter and people like that that are maybe not people you've necessarily heard of, like a TV or film actor, but they are great in their roles and they are able to show up and record for the game a lot more often. Every so often, they manage to retain people that are older characters that are still awesome. Having Lashmi's voice actress return is incredible. They couldn't have brought her back without that. And then you have someone like Lance Reddick, who is a known actor, but is so attached to Zavala at this point, they're never going to replace Lance Reddick. And I don't think Lance Reddick wants to be replaced because he is very engaged with Destiny and the community, and it's easy to imagine him being Zavala for as long as Zavala is a character, which could be forever unless they kill him off, but I don't think they will. So I think that has really helped storytelling this season, and this has been a great use of resources on Bungie's end. It really makes these seasons come alive. And previously, the running joke is that, all Destiny's best stories in the lore. So they've translated some of that to voice acting, and yet probably the best story is still in the lore, and this is something else they have done recently where I don't know if they just gave the narrative team more freedom or a bigger budget to work more hours and write more things, but like there is so much lore now. It's not just like lore books. Those do still exist, obviously, but I said this on Twitter, but like every single piece of armor or gun introduced this season has a lore page attached to it, which is incredible. Some of them are shorter than others. Like some of the armor ones are just like a couple lines, but then some of them are some of the best lore pages I've seen in a very long time. The Crucible hand cannon tells the Mithrax meeting up with Shaxx for the first time, and the two like should be bitter enemies. So they're kind of talking about like all the fallen and humans they've slaughtered and like how they kind of regret it now, and like the things they've done in their past they're not proud of. It's a beautiful scene. There's a funny one with Drifter where he's talking to the Elixni where he makes them he questions them about if they eat human children, and they say no, but they've eaten humans, and he's like, I've eaten you guys too, what are you gonna do? Like kind of leaning into that. There is a really kind of adorable story where there's an Elixni eating ramen for the first time, and like the shopkeeper kind of like coaching him through it, and like the language barrier there. And then there's some more disturbing stuff with like some racism against xenophobia against Fallen by people in the last city. There's just a lot of like really good stuff in these pages that is worth checking out. And everything introduced this season has a lore page that I really suggest you read. So they're getting more leeway in that regard too, and are able to bring in characters that may not be having kind of active voice work, and yet they are still kind of involved in the story if you take the time to read all these different lore pages. I wish they'd make them a little more clear, because like I think only like 2% of people are gonna like click the button that brings up the lore on most items, but every exotic, every piece of armor, even the Eververse ships and sparrows have lore. You don't have to buy them to read it, you can just read it in the store. But all of this stuff is combined to create a situation where the narrative team is really able to shine. And then that's in addition to, it's not just that they have more resources to tell a story, it's that the stories they're telling are really good. And I'll probably go into this more in an article maybe this week, but like we're dealing with some pretty kind of fascinating stuff here where we're kind of going past just like space, blah, 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 like this invading force is like this weapon we have to stop. Like this season is about like a refugee crisis, like xenophobia, and like dealing with like being haunted by past war crimes. Like with the whole like Elixni coming to the last city for the first time and like trying to integrate with human culture. Like it is really kind of involved stuff. And like last season we had, dealing with the a warlike race like agreeing to peace for the first time, and like Keitel being like a more reasonable leader of the Cabal. And so like we're really kind of exploring these enemy groups in a way that we haven't before, in a sense that's more than just like big ship wants to blow up planet thing. Like that has been kind of the extent of many of Destiny's past stories. We do have a little bit of that here with the whole Vex Endless Night thing, but at least in this sense it's like more of a mystery where we don't really know where they're up to. And Bife has a video going into all the Kira stuff. Kira was teased, I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, but Kira was teased in the opening mission, and likely will come up as time goes on here past week 1. So that's going to be interesting from the Vex perspective too. So as you can see, I'm just really excited about the story this season. Last season, Beyond Light kind of started this a little bit with going into kind of Aramis's motivations and stuff, but I think the last 2 seasons in particular have really gotten this right. And I mean, we're only 1 week into a season of the Splicer, and I know there's more to come. I have just heard like there are big story things coming. I have really tried to not seek out specific spoilers to not ruin it for myself. I may have heard a thing or two that is kind of hurt that, but I'm not really going to go into that stuff until it happens in the game. So there could be, really cool stuff to come, and that's since I'm getting past all the other stuff I said about like, oh, we're learning about Fallen culture and all this cool stuff. So if you talk to everyone in the Fallen camp, read all the lore, like listen to all the cutscenes after overrides, like it's very good stuff, and this is something I hope we really see every season in Destiny now, because they're killing it in the story department this year. So that's what I got for now. Evie, you gonna make a cameo? Do I have to do this every time because you're a lazy butt? Yeah. Okay. So that's how Evie has to make her cameo now, because she's just chilling. But all right. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my newsletter, God Rolls. It will be out later today with my big roundup and stuff, and exclusive Evie photos, because who doesn't want that? And so I would appreciate if you sign up for that. That is the link for that is in the description. I think I'm going to start doing some more interesting stuff with God Rolls soon. So sub when I announce that, and I'll get into that later. But all right. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.